Alright, so I am back from my vacation, here to bring you another video here on the Lord of the Rings. We're in Chapter 4 of Book 2, A Journey in the Dark. It is revealed to them the debate that Aragorn and Gandalf have been having with each other, which is whether to go into the mines of Moria or not. And the Fellowship's like, well, we don't want to go through there. But let's Boromir brings up that, hey, let's have Frodo decide. And Frodo decides, well, let's just follow Gandalf. And of course, as they're debating this, he does mention that he himself, Gandalf, had gone through the mines of Moria to search for Thrain. And but of course, Thrain's not there. And Thrain had left in the hopes of finding one of the Dwarf rings in Moria, but it's not there. Sauron had taken it from Thrain because Thrain ended up in the Dungeons of Dol Guldur, and that's where Gandalf eventually found him. And he says, Gandalf tells them, I got out safe. Aragorn's like, yeah, I've been there myself and gotten out safe. But he says, and I say to you, if you pass the doors of Moria, beware. So he warns Gandalf about going in there, and that things may not go so well for him as they did last time. Some prophecy here. And of course, along the way, they get attacked by a pack of wargs. And Gandalf does to the wargs what he did in The Hobbit by lighting pine cones and throwing it at them. And of course, Legolas shoots some with his arrows. But anyway, they make their way to the door, and as we remember from The Hobbit, dwarf doors are invisible, and you have to speak a password or some other kind of like in The Hobbit where they had that key that they had to use, but it had to be at a specific time that they could see it. Stuff like that. The dwarves are very, very secretive, and they don't even teach people their language that they have. They do have a language, and they do take names in it. However, when they're interacting with humans mostly, they do take on names that are human names, and so you have names like Gimli and Balin and stuff like that, but those are not their real names. Again, they keep those hidden. And so Gandalf is trying to figure out how to open the door, and it says on the door, speak friend and enter, and he realizes, well, it should say friend and enter, and the Elvish word for friend in the Sindarian language is Melon, which is the password to get the door open. And it is at this point, of course, Frodo's attacked by the Watcher in the Water, and they fight it off, and they run into the mines, and the Watcher in the Water blocks the door, and so now they can't get out. So they have no choice but to go through the mines. Now, what is this Watcher in the Water? It's got all these long arms. It could be mini creatures, but of course in the movies they show it, and even in the animated film they show that it's one creature with many tentacles. It's maybe some kind of squid or octopus, or a giant one, obviously. But Gandalf does tell them that there are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world. And there's nameless things that gnaw at the earth that Sauron doesn't even know about. Morgoth probably didn't even know about. Aragorn does remark to them that Gandalf says he is sure of finding the way home in a blind night than the cats of Queen Beruthiel. Now, no other information about Queen Beruthiel is given here, but in Unfinished Tales, we do know that Tolkien did write about it, because there's nothing that is in The Lord of the Rings that Tolkien didn't create. Although some things are mysteries, like Tom Bombadil. Beruthiel was a queen of Gondor that nobody really liked, and they were kind of afraid of her, and she kept these cats. And these cats were like used as spies. And eventually she eventually disappears. The king, her husband, which was King Terranon, had her set on a ship alone with her cats and set adrift in the sea. And she's never heard from again. But anyway, the Fellowship continues on through the mines, and Frodo begins to notice that he hears soft, bare feet following behind them. And later we do see two eyes looking at him. Obviously, and remember from the movies, this is Gollum, who is now following them. He had been lost in Moria. He somehow made his way there, and of course couldn't figure a way out, so he's stuck there. But as soon as the Fellowship gets there, he just follows them. And Gimli had gone there in hopes of finding Balin, but they do realize at the end of the chapter that Balin is dead because they find his tomb, and the chapter ends with them sitting there. And Tolkien, when he had come to write this part in the Lord of the Rings, he actually paused. And of course, at this point when he had paused, I believe in the original version, Aragorn was a hobbit named Trotter. And then Tolkien rewrote it, and then made him a man, and wrote all the way down to when they came down to Great River, and pretty much had stopped there again and paused. But originally, Chapter 4 and Chapter 5 were all one chapter, and he split those up. And so in the next video, we will get to Chapter 5, which is the Bridge of Khazad-dûm. And there we go. That is all for today. I hope you all enjoy this video, and I'll see you next time.